Hello and a very warm welcome from a nippy night in Kashmir in Srinagar. We're here on the ground to report the first election that's taking place in a decade, but all the heat seems to be back home in Delhi. I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo story. From Srinagar to Delhi, well, politics is certainly getting interesting. Arvind Kejriwal has held good on his word that he would be resigning as chief minister till quote unquote the Janta gives him a clean chit. Remember, Mr. Kejriwal has been in jail and has got bail after 6 months from the Supreme Court, but with restrictions on what he could do and could not do. And he was not permitted to attend the chief minister's office or sign any files without the consent of the lieutenant governor. Delhi has a new chief minister, its youngest, Atishi, Stephanian, Rhodes Scholar, and the third woman to lead Delhi. But the debate is still raging. Is she a mere placeholder? What impact does this move have on brand Kejriwal and brand Aam Aadmi Party? What happens when the next elections deliver either a victory or a defeat, or diminished numbers or increased numbers for the Aam Aadmi Party? How do we look at this move? Is it a gimmick, as the opposition alleges, or is it a clever political move? A lot to talk about. Let's introduce our guests on the program today. Neerja Chowdhury, author and veteran journalist, is with us. Welcome, Neerja. Akshay Marathe, leader of the Aam Aadmi Party, is with us. Welcome, Akshay. Dr. Dharinder Tayal, leader of the BJP, is with us. Welcome. And Dr. Manisha Priyam, political analyst and author, is with us as well. Thank you very much, Manisha, though I can barely see you and your signal seems to be terrible, but I hope it improves as the conversation goes along. Akshay, let me start with you. What's the logic? Is Atishi, I mean, of course, there's history in the making. Third woman, youngest, has her own record. And, you know, as a woman, I'll always cheer for women, more women in leadership roles. But there's a sense that she's a placeholder, that she's somebody that Mr. Kejriwal trusts to keep the seat warm for him, and that this is strictly a temporary arrangement. How do you see what has happened? Akshay Marathe.
Thank you, Barkha, for having me on your show. Let me first start by sharing the reasoning for why Arvind Kejriwal has resigned in the first place, because that's where the story begins. The reason that Arvind Kejriwal chose to resign now, after getting bail from the Supreme Court, is because, you see, the only capital that Aam Aadmi Party or Arvind Kejriwal has had in the last 10 years is our image as honest people, as an honest political alternative. And through the last 2 years of this ED CBI case on the fake liquor scandal, there is a sense that his image has been hurt by the BJP. His perception of being that honest person, he's feeling hurt by the fact that that has happened to him. And even though the Supreme Court has now vindicated his stand, where it called the CBI a caged parrot, one of the judges even held that his arrest was illegal to begin with. So even though there is also the argument that this was all persecution on the part of the BJP, Arvind Kejriwal believes that as a popular mass leader of Delhi, he wants to go back to the people of Delhi to get the mandate again and serve the people again. And I think it's a phenomenal example in Indian politics, where somebody who has won two elections has chosen to leave on his own terms, by his own judgment. Nobody has forced him out. And I think it is a precedent that people should not be greedy for power. People should remember that they are in power only because people have voted for them. And Arvind Kejriwal is going back to his people and asking for their blessings. And he's saying something very courageous. He's saying, vote for me again only if you believe I'm honest. Otherwise, don't vote for me. I will go back to what I was doing. So
Yeah.
that is the context of why this has happened to begin with. Now, coming to the question of, is Atishi a placeholder chief minister? Barkha, maybe you are aware of this, but I joined the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi way back in 2016 when Atishi was the education advisor to Manish Sisodia. Atishi has worked long and hard on solving Delhi's governance problems, has established a credibility as a solid administrator, as a governance person. And then when Manish ji went to jail, she took over as the education minister, and in fact had almost 20-30 departments under her. She was practically running a large portion of the Delhi government. So she's not somebody who we might think of as a lightweight or as a placeholder person who's just warming the seat.
Can I interrupt there only to say that I wasn't diminishing Atishi's sort of capacity or her record or her credentials. When I use the phrase placeholder, I simply mean that Mr. Kejriwal is the numero uno. And when Mr. Kejriwal believes that he's in the position to be chief minister again, Atishi will be asked to vacate that place. That's all I meant.
Yeah, no, and Barkha, I think in a democracy, we must respect the mandate of the people. If Aam Aadmi Party goes to the people and says that if you vote for us, Arvind Kejriwal will be the chief minister, then we must respect that mandate of the people. And that's the message that we will be going into the next election with. Atishi ji is a senior leader of the party, senior member of the cabinet, has worked under the guidance of Arvind Kejriwal and will continue to do so. So there is no,
Okay.
dilemma in that sense.
Okay, let me bring in Dr. Tayal. Dr. Tayal, when you were on the program last, you were convinced that it would not be Atishi. In fact, you and Tehseen Poonawala both argued that Mr. Kejriwal's wife, Sunita Kejriwal, would be the next chief minister. You have been wrong in that assumption. What do you make of these developments, Dr. Tayal? Could we unmute Dr. Tayal, please? You might be muted at your end, sir. Go ahead.
No, I'm. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, admitted, because that is what I expected. But yes, developments have been happening, and the grapevine has it that there has been arm twisting by Sisodia, because obviously after Kejriwal, Sisodia was the obvious choice, because together they were the ones who launched Kabir, and that is where the Ford Foundation money landed up, and that money went, wherever it went. So he was the obvious choice, but then he would not be a puppet. So since he was not to be, that is Odia put down his foot and said, okay, if I am not to be, Mrs. Kejriwal also is not to be. And then the consensus rested on Atishi. The interesting part, let me take up some things which Akshay has said, which are very interesting. First is the image of Mr. Kejriwal as an honest person, which he's defending. Now, that is where I agree with him completely, because Mr. Kejriwal has stood firm on whatever he has said. He said, I will not join politics. He has not. He said, I will not take a house. He has not. Only a mahal. He has said, I will travel in my Wagoner. He didn't take a car. He said, I swear by my children, I will never tie up with Congress. He did not. His honesty is another level which is yet to be seen in the world history, probably. So yes, he has something to defend there. So I would agree with him there. I'm completely in agreement with what he says. The other thing which he said, that the courts have said the CBI was a caged parrot, and therefore that is something for us. The court said this in 2013 before BJP came in. Probably he is yet to know of it. Now, after the CBI has done its job, why were the courts holding him there for 6 months? CBI was not holding him there. The courts were holding him there. And,
Okay.
hanging on to a proverbial straw, when he says one judge has said, what have the other judges said? Now, the other thing which he tried to deftly steer when you said, is she a lame duck CM? Not your words, mine. But yes, is she a dummy CM? So he's kind of steered away from it. But that is something which, when one heard that she was going to be, and like you said, a Rhodes Scholar, Oxford, and so on and so forth, one expected so much. But her sentence was, Delhi has only one CM, which is Kejriwal. That is what she has said. And Saurabh Bhardwaj has very openly said, Khadau and so on and so forth. So they have not left any doubt in our minds that this is a night watchman. This is a lame duck CM. So there is no two ways about it, and she's admitted it herself. Then he has said that
Okay.
she's a solid administrator. Can I just complete this point?
Yeah.
She's a solid administrator, and the kind of work that she's done is remarkable. For example, as the education minister, I mean, a petty 1,300 crore rupee scam is fantastic management. And the Sheesh Mahal going from 15 crores under PWD, which she handles, going from 50 15 crores to 53 crores for a Aam Aadmi house. Oh, fantastic. Oh, Delhi Jal Board, which 2013 had 600 crores of profit, today has a loan of 75,000 crores. I mean, and a scam anyway coming out 19 for 43
Okay,
crores.
you made your point. You made your point. I think we get the drift of what you're trying to say. The first comments, by the way, for audience members who may be confused, Dr. Tayal wasn't suddenly praising Arvind Kejriwal. He was being sarcastic, strictly tongue between cheek, as it were. I just thought audience confused na ho jaye, to batana chahiye. Now, Neerja Chowdhury, how do you look at it? You see, you can argue this from both sides. You can say gimmick hai, Kejriwal ran out of options. He had to do something to re-legitimize himself. He had to do something to rebrand himself. So he's done it. It's a gamble, may or may not pay off. Or you could see it as a gimmick as the opposition sees it, or you could see it as another clever Kejriwal move. How do you see it?
Well, politics is made up of gimmicks, if you and I are honest. Which is a smart gimmick and a smart ploy depends on its success. In the given situation where he decided to resign, I think Atishi is probably a good move to install her as the chief minister for a variety of reasons. Some you've already cited. She's highly educated, she's very articulate, in her replies, very focused. And when Sisodia and Kejriwal and others were in jail, she took charge. She took charge very naturally and could be seen at crisis points, floods, whatever happened. And I think given that, and of course, a very big factor, women is a constituency that Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party are now trying to win. And the scheme of 1,000 rupees per woman per month is to be rolled out. But making a woman Chief Minister of Delhi. And I think also Atishi's appeal would go to what I call the Sheila Dikshit constituency, the middle class that had become somewhat disenchanted with Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party in the last couple of years. The Jhuggi Jhopris still are with them. And you find women really rooting for them. Hamare bachcho ki education, our medicines. And I've been to some of the areas recently and that's what they say. So it is a good move, a good ploy, a good gimmick, whatever you may call it, in the given circumstances. I would say one more thing, Barkha, here. It's not only about Atishi or about Kejriwal. This is also about Delhi. Our little Delhi, the capital of India, and the third woman chief minister in Delhi. No other state in India has had 3 women chief ministers. And that shows something about what is called progressive Delhi, accepting change, diverse Delhi, a microcosm of India. You find all kinds, Biharis, Uttarakhandis, Malayalis, everybody's here. After 1989, it's not only the refugees who came from Pakistan. The character of Delhi has changed. And I think an aspirational Delhi. So somebody just above 40 or 43, whatever Atishi's age is, now to sit there in the chief minister's seat, having worked very hard for the transformation of the government schools of Delhi. Having been to some of them, that is I find it the biggest achievement of Aam Aadmi Party, which other states have been trying to emulate and study. Therefore,
But Neerja, but sorry, can I interrupt you there only to say, sorry, just because while I said to Akshay that I will always root for women in leadership roles, Atishi is not going to be allowed to stay as CM if things politically go Arvind Kejriwal's way. So she's stepping in. It's not that Arvind Kejriwal is saying, I'll do a different role now. Atishi, you deserve to be chief minister on your own merit.
Absolutely. Whether she's a CM for 2 months, whether she's CM for 5 months. But what I'm saying is that Mr. Kejriwal, the ground level pressure in Delhi and the changes that are taking place in Delhi have compelled Mr. Kejriwal to opt for somebody who's a woman because that is going to be politically beneficial. Otherwise, Mr. Kejriwal, who is a very savvy, he thinks politically on his feet, would he want somebody who could turn out to be efficient CM? Would he risk that? No politician will risk
interesting.
that.
Therefore,
yeah. What I'm talking about this is about Delhi, what's happening to Delhi also. And who knows, Barkha? Who knows? Suppose they win, Aam Aadmi Party wins Delhi. Can Mr. Kejriwal turn his attention to national politics? Would he have that on his radar? They are going to fight very hard in Haryana. I don't think they'll win in Haryana. They may be vote cutters in Haryana and may damage the Congress party. But their eyes will now be, and it's very interesting also that the party is not split. There have been efforts made in the last 2 years. Somewhere there is some kind of what I called an urja in the Aam Aadmi Party. You can find many faults with them. Mr. Tayal has really underlined many of them. But there is a energy out there, a political energy that you sense. And Atishi, one thing else I don't know her personally at all. I've only watched her as a journalist. There is something that is sincere that comes across, that she would want to do. She would want to bring change. She wants to do something solid. It's not only about power politics. So, every good wish to her.
Yeah, but there's a lot to discuss politically. Dr. Priyam, I'm really not sure that you're on a network where we can hear you, but let me give it a chance. Can you hear me? If you can, do give a comment. No, ma'am. Sorry, I'm going to. We'll try and reconnect with you. In the meantime, let me try and play out what Atishi said as this announcement came. Delhi has, as it's already been mentioned, its third woman chief minister and the youngest one yet. Take a look at what Atishi said.
के लोकप्रिय मुख्यमंत्री मेरे बड़े भाई अरविंद केजरीवाल जी आज इस्तीफा दे रहे हैं। मैं आज ये जरूर कहना चाहती हूँ आम आदमी पार्टी के सभी विधायकों की तरफ से, दिल्ली की 2 करोड़ जनता की तरफ से, कि दिल्ली का एक ही मुख्यमंत्री है और उस मुख्यमंत्री का नाम अरविंद केजरीवाल है। अब एक ही उद्देश्य से काम करेंगे कि हमें अरविंद केजरीवाल जी को फिर से दिल्ली का मुख्यमंत्री बनाना है। जब तक मैं इस बड़ी जिम्मेदारी को संभाल रही हूं, मेरा एक ही मकसद रहेगा। मुझे पता है कि भारतीय जनता पार्टी अपने एलजी साहब के थ्रू दिल्ली वालों के खिलाफ षड्यंत्र रचेगी। मुझे पता है कि वो दिल्ली वालों की फ्री बिजली रोकने की कोशिश करेंगे। मुझे पता है वो दिल्ली वालों के अस्पताल में फ्री दवाइयां रोकने की कोशिश करेंगे। मुझे पता है वो मोहल्ला क्लिनिक बंद करने की कोशिश करेंगे। मुझे पता है वो सरकारी स्कूलों को खराब करने की कोशिश करेंगे। तो अगले कुछ महीने तक, जब तक ये जिम्मेदारी मेरे पास है, मैं दिल्ली के लोगों की रक्षा करने की कोशिश करूंगी और अरविंद केजरीवाल जी के मार्गदर्शन में दिल्ली की सरकार चलाऊंगी।
Now, one other development that happened today, of course, was that Swati Maliwal has been shown the door by the Aam Aadmi Party for her comments on Atishi. She's the one who called her a dummy CM. Coincidentally, Dr. Tayal, you used kind of the same phrase there. So I'll ask you about that. I'm not alleging anything there. I'm just saying coincidentally. But Swati Maliwal, of course, had that in with Mr. Kejriwal's secretary aide, Bibhav, who has also just come out on bail. She alleged assault and violence by him, and he's being tried for that case. But Akshay, I want to come to you. Atishi, in her comments, made it very, very clear that she's there for a finite time. So whether I call her placeholder or somebody else calls her night watchman, and I'm not being derogatory in any way, I'm simply making a fact that she's agreeing with. She's saying, I'm here for a few months. There's only one chief minister in Delhi, and that is Arvind Kejriwal. Now, politically, I want to understand from you, what is the best case scenario? Because you guys haven't dissolved the assembly, right? You haven't said, Kejriwal resigns, we've dissolved the assembly, let's have fresh elections. That could have been one route to go. Explain to me, if the elections take place as scheduled next February, what are you hoping for from this move?
No, Barkha, if you remember, we had made the mistake of resigning in 2014 when things had not gone our way. And if you remember what happened after that, the precedence rule continued beyond what we thought was reasonable. And it took almost a year after Arvind Kejriwal resigned at that time for the next election to take place. So we do not want to give such an opportunity to the central government to delay Delhi's elections. That's why we have chosen not to dissolve the assembly. The assembly remains in session. We continue to have a popularly elected government. And our best case scenario, Barkha, is that Arvind Kejriwal goes through this Agni Pariksha, as he has chosen to call it, where he goes back to the people and says, look, I have done so and so for you for the last 10 years, but the BJP went after me. They persecuted me. They threw your elected chief minister in jail for 6 months. They tried to destroy my credibility and my image. But now I have come to you. You tell me, do you think I deserve to be back in the chair as chief minister or not? And if the people think that Arvind Kejriwal is honest, they will vote for him. We got 67 seats in 2015, 62 seats in 2020. If we can get a popular mandate again in that message in Arvind Kejriwal's name, that is our best case scenario. We are a strong.
But it doesn't change the legal restrictions. I mean, unless the court changes its mind, and of course you can always appeal that. It doesn't change the legal restrictions on him right now.
I'm glad you brought that up, Barkha. I want to clarify this for you and your viewers as well. Delhi has a UT structure where any file that has to be passed has to go to the lieutenant governor after the chief minister signs it. As things stand today, if Arvind Kejriwal had continued as chief minister, he had the power to sign on files that had to go to the lieutenant governor. And as the chief minister who does not have his own portfolio, that would have been completely fine. He would have continued to serve as chief minister. There would have been no problems at all. And we would have continued to fight this in the courts. Justice Bhuya made it clear that he actually thinks these conditions are not fair. And the larger bench, which this matter would have eventually gone to, would have even removed these conditions as well. So I don't think the legal issues were a constraint on us in the way that it is being made out to be.
Okay, Dr. Tayal, very quickly, because we have to start winding down. Punjab has an Aam Aadmi Party government where you are, and the Aam Aadmi Party, Neerja mentions, has one eye on Haryana, even though for the record, Akshay, you got 1% of the under 1% of the vote in the last assembly election. The Congress AAP alliance hasn't worked out for Haryana. So when Neerja talks about a national ambition, I am keen to understand where that might travel next. But last comments from you, Dr. Tayal.
The national ambition, in any case, the only national ambition that Aam Aadmi Party has had is that, when they contested Goa, was to get a certain number of votes so that they could get recognized as a national party. It ends there. Right now, because you spoke of Punjab and because we've been talking about the education model and the education given by Aam Aadmi Party. So let me give you something very, very current, like it's still hot. And this is some promotions have happened in Punjab schools for teachers of 11th and 12th. And the Aam Aadmi Party education model is fantastic. So what has happened is that out of 227 commerce teachers promoted, most of them are not BComs. Out of 381 Punjabi teachers promoted, 194 are from other subjects, not from Punjabi. 301 English teachers promoted, 298 out of 301 are non-English teachers. So that is the model. But something
I once again have to explain to my audience that you're being sarcastic, but I have a question for you, and I know Akshay wants to come in and then Neerja can have the closing word. Prasad, who's one of our regular Mojo members, says Barkha Kejriwal has checkmated the ancient leaderless parties of Delhi, both Congress and BJP, by making this move. The politicians of these parties don't know how to handle AAP now. Now, the reason I ask this question is one of the problems that both BJP and Congress, which is why you're kind of more or less on the same page on this issue in Delhi at least, is that you don't have faces to take on Kejriwal in Delhi. The BJP does well on the Lok Sabha, but at the state level, you don't have faces. You haven't had a good local face now for years, the BJP and the Congress, both. Quick response, sir. I have to start taking, Neerja has to leave in a couple of minutes, so we'll take closing comments.
So that is something to say that, okay, there's nobody to take on Kejriwal, but something very important which has been raised time and again, that he's going to the people. Now, let's understand, in the Lok Sabha elections also, he went to the people. He stood on top of trucks and said, look what has been done to me. Vote for me if you think I'm honest. and these people gave him the mandate. So to say, I'm honest, now give me the mandate again, otherwise a third time or a fourth time doesn't work. He's got the mandate of the...
I think that's a very important. I think you made a very important point. And before I give Neerja the closing comment, Akshay, the sympathy that could have accrued Mr. Kejriwal's way did not happen in the Lok Sabha elections, right? It was the peak of all of these cases. The Aam Aadmi Party should have done better. Is there a realization in the AAP that Kejriwal needs to re-legitimize himself, and that is why this move? Akshay, very quickly, because Neerja is waiting.
Quick comments. Narendra Modi also lost his mandate in the election, as we remember. Why doesn't he resign from his position and call for fresh elections? His party went from 302 seats to 240 seats. So, speaking of mandates, let's remember that BJP also lost their mandate. But I'm thrilled to hear the BJP talk about education. It really warms my heart.
The BJP has formed the government legitimately, so you can't quite say they lost the mandate.
The NDA has formed it, not BJP. Anyway,
okay, chalo. The BJP has slipped below majority, not lost the mandate.
Absolutely.
Let's be technically correct, but go ahead. Yeah.
And anyway, so I just want to say I'm thrilled to hear the BJP spokesperson debate on education-related statistics. It warms my heart. Aam Aadmi Party is the only party that can force the BJP to talk about that. Last final point, Barkha, about national ambition of Aam Aadmi Party. You are in Kashmir right now. I urge you to go and check out the campaign of Mehraj Malik, who is an Aam Aadmi Party candidate in the upcoming election, and you will see the national expansion of the Aam Aadmi Party in front of your own eyes. And I hope your viewers will also.
Okay, I'll certainly check that out. Neerja Chowdhury, last word to you. Sorry, Dr. Tayal, you have one sentence. Dr. Tayal, one sentence. One sentence, please. Neerja's been waiting.
Just want to say something what has happened today in Delhi is a transition of a corrupt government from a corrupt government to a corrupt, inefficient and anti-national government. So that was my one line. You want me to explain? I'll explain it. But over to Neerja.
No, I think it's quite clear. The BJP has been attacking Atishi for some of her ideological positions, including her family background. We can have a separate debate on that. In any case, people should be judged for their own positions. And I want to just give Neerja Chowdhury the closing word. Neerja.
Look, since 2014, people of Delhi have looked at the BJP and Narendra Modi as the way to go in national elections. In state assembly elections, they have gone for the Aam Aadmi Party again and again. And that's a fact. Now, I feel my question mark is, will the Congress Party be the elephant in the room this time? Because the Congress is reviving all over the country. People wanted to become a counter to the BJP. So will they vote differently? Number one. Number two, will this gambit of Kejriwal, he has this political savvy to spring a surprise, take his opponents off guard. Will this create a sympathy for him in the elections that are due? A lot will depend on that.
Yeah. A lot, that is a big question, and we'll leave our audience to with that question. Just on the Congress point, I think I would say, Neerja, if the Congress had, it's going to be very interesting to see how the dynamics between the Congress and the AAP play out, because in this entire issue, the Congress and the BJP are virtually echoing each other. So, it's going to be very interesting, and I think a lot of what happens next could depend on that. We leave it there. Dr. Tayal, Akshay, Marathe, and Neerja Chowdhury, always a pleasure. Signing off now from Srinagar. We're here on the ground all week, so do follow our reporting from here. Thank you and see you soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.